All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Globe Business Breakthrough Masterclass webinar series, Small Biz Edition. Kamusta naman lahat? We're on our fourth episode, and I'm so excited to be back. And I know there are people who are coming back for another episode who have joined us before. Welcome back. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to you. And it's so nice to have our group here for a fourth time to have some amazing discussions. And of course, yung mga session na ito ay para sa inyong mga small business owners. This was crafted just for you. So we're so excited, and let's do a small recap, shall we, of where we have been in the last 4 episodes. First, in our first episode, we learned from our speakers kung paano nga ba talaga nakakatulong ang AI in making intelligent business solutions. Sa second episode naman, our speakers shared with us on how to get to know your customers and to give that wonderful tailored customer experience. If you were with us in our third episode, what did we learn? We learned na kahit small business ka pa lang, pwede pa rin magkaroon ng HR department, and that it's very doable, especially with the help of HR automation. Today naman, as we said, it's our fourth episode, and as you see in our title, ang episode na to ay para sa mga small business owners na gustong pasukin ang international market. O diba? Dream big, going global this time. Ngayong hapon, we'll be talking about access to market equals survival, unlocking global reach in the digital age. Siyempre, that's everybody's dream, no? To be able to go from just selling to your community to reaching the rest of the world with your amazing products and services. Now, alam naman natin in this day and age how important it is to reach and to connect to the appropriate target market. Siyempre, iba-iba yung mga products natin. We want to reach the people that our products and services are made for. Sobrang dami ng opportunities and content online, pero mahirap din maging visible, mahirap maging relevant, and to survive kasi ang dami na nating competition. We already know how much there is to choose from. It can be overwhelming. And with that, marami rin naman ng opportunities and room for all of these business owners who want to not just survive, but also to thrive. Kaya this afternoon, we're going to talk about how small businesses can reach international markets and how digital tools and e-commerce can help you go global. So as we begin, we invite you to listen, take notes, and this is an important one, ask questions. Please don't be shy to access our question tab down below so that we can get to those later. Bawal lang shy type, as you know, if you've joined us before. And please imagine how these insights can fit into your own business story. At syempre naman, just like last time, meron pa rin tayong raffle draw. You know your friends at Globe Business love to shower you with gifts. So, mamaya at the end of the program, meron pa rin. Alamin natin kung sino ang mga lucky winners natin of the day. So please stay with us until the very end to find out. We're so excited to learn with you all today, and we hope that you'll be walking away with practical ideas that you can try right away para tuloy-tuloy na ang inyong breakthrough. Now, to officially open today's session, let's hear from a leader na hindi takot sumubok ng bago at mag-explore ng opportunities abroad. Naniniwala siya na kapag ang mga businesses ay may access to the right markets, especially in this digital age, they gain the power not just to survive, but to rise. And who doesn't want that, right? She has been at the forefront of Globe Business's efforts para magbukas ng mga bagong oportunidad sa mga small businesses. Pinapalakas sila gamit ng digital tools at pinapalawak ang kanilang brand visibility sa pamamagitan ng pagtulong sa kanila na mag-navigate ng mga bagong channels here and abroad. She continues to champion innovation that strengthens businesses through connected and empowered communities. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Vice President and Head of Globe Business, Ms. Katie Dizon.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Breakthrough Masterclass webinar series, Small Biz Edition. To those who participated in the past episodes, masaya kaming makita kayo muli. In episodes 1 and 2, we focused on how AI can help you make intelligent business decisions and build stronger customer relationships. Sa episode 3 naman, we turn to the heart of every business, your teams. Pinag-usapan natin how HR automation can help strengthen your workforce. Ngayon naman sa episode 4, i-discuss natin ang isa sa pinakamatinding challenge ng small businesses, which is access to market. Kasi kahit gaano kaganda ang produkto or serbisyo ninyo, kung hindi kayo makita ng customers ninyo, your efforts won't turn to profit at mahihirapan kayong palaguin ang inyong negosyo. And today's reality is that survival means learning to compete not just in your neighborhood, but also online and even globally. Think about it. Ilang beses na kayong nakarinig ng ganito? Ang ganda ng produkto ko, pero hirap akong makahanap ng bagong customers. Okay ang benta sa community, pero baka pwede pa ako magbenta sa mas maraming tao online? May potential ako for export, pero hindi ko alam kung saan magsisimula. Familiar ba? These are the exact challenges na nararanasan ng maraming small businesses like you. Kaya ngayong araw, ang topic natin is Access to Market equals Survival, Unlocking Global Reach in the Digital Age. Pag-uusapan natin kung paano ninyo ma-expand ang reach ninyo through e-commerce, paano ninyo ma-access ang mga export opportunities, at kung paano gamitin ang data and analytics para mag-build ng mas malawak na customer base. Alam namin, mahirap mapansin in such a crowded marketplace. Pero with the right tools and strategies, you can carve out your space, stand out, and even compete on a bigger stage. At yan ang isa sa pinakamalaking breakthroughs na pwedeng mangyari para sa negosyo ninyo. So, as we go through today's session, think about your own business. Where do you want to be seen? Who else needs to discover your product? And how can digital tools help you get there? We are excited to take this journey with you as we welcome you to the 4th episode of Your Breakthrough.
Thank you so much, Miss Katie, for that inspiring welcome message as always. Now, everyone, I think we're getting ready to start learning. We got into the mood with Miss Katie's message. But first, can I get a vibe check from everybody in the comments? Gusto namin ma-feel naman ang inyong excitement. Can you drop me your favorite emojis of the day? Baka pwede naman maybe Halloween theme, since as small businesses, we have to be on theme for what's the next big thing. So can you drop me your favorite Halloween emojis and let me know that you're with us, you're excited, and you are present with us today. Ayan, thank you so much, everyone. Keep those comments coming. And again, don't be shy later to send your comments, your questions, because that's a big, big part of what we do here at Breakthrough. I'm sure at this point, everyone's excited to start learning. So let's officially kick off your breakthrough with our first speaker of the day. Our first guest is truly an inspiration to most small business owners who want to take their brand to the international stage. She is an alumna of DLSU and the Asian Institute of Management. She started her journey in exporting at Mond Nissin, kung saan hinawakan niya ang US at European markets. Wow! From there, ginamit niya ang kanyang expertise para tulungan ang mga negosyo sa Southeast Asia. Hanggang sa maitayo niya ang Zendies by One Export, na ngayon ay tumutulong sa mahigit na 900 SME sa Pilipinas at Indonesia para makapag-export ng kanilang produkto to 91 countries worldwide. Amazing! This afternoon, she will share kung paano nga ba makakapag-expand ang local brand to the international market. Let's give a warm virtual welcome to the co-founder and CEO of One Export, Ms. Mel Nava.
Hi everyone. So I'm Mel. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Zendies by One Export, and we basically help small businesses export. Today, pag-uusapan natin how to take your business global. So as a Pinoy brand, how do you bring it to the world stage? So, just a little bit about me. I was also like you. Before starting my business, I was actually selling clothes on the side, no. So yun yung side hustle ko. But when I was doing that, I was also a salesperson in Mondenisin, selling noodles and biscuits to the European market. The picture on the side is actually my experience sending samples to my buyers abroad. No, so if you want to be able to export, I was there with you, and it was really hard back then. No, because of that experience, I also authored the Philippine Export Guidebook, which is obviously available in the DTI uh, um, offices if you need it. But we've been able to help over 2,000 businesses export, and now we're able to help small businesses of Indonesia, Philippines, and Vietnam export to 91 markets abroad. So basically, I'm here to talk about how to make exporting simple and what are the things that we have to look at kapag balak nating mag-export. Um, Before that, no, so like what do you mean by Filipino brand? So iniisip natin parang if you're a small business brand, baka inisip nyo hindi naman natin kaya. But I mean, obviously now, Jollibee is a big brand, but in the 90s, it started off as a small ice cream parlor in Cubao. I'm not sure, syempre, hindi ko rin siya naabutan, pero for the people na medyo may edad, like they know that Jollibee started as a really small business in a small ice cream parlor, no? And Jollibee's method to export was actually targeting the Filipino diaspora, di ba? So parang everyone liked Jollibee Chicken Joy eventually, no? So ang unang product ng Jollibee actually hindi yung Chicken Joy. Ang unang product niya was yung ice cream. Tapos nag-serve sila ng spaghetti, tapos nakapag-develop sila ng Chicken Joy na gustong-gusto ng lahat ng tao. Nung nalaman nila na gusto lahat ng tao ng Chicken Joy, dun sila nag-start mag-franchise abroad, di ba? And now, it's one of the largest quick service restaurants around the world. And when you talk about Jollibee, people know that it is a Filipino brand, diba? And if that is a strategy worth doing for you, parang dapat pwede nyo rin gawin. Kung kaya ni Jollibee, syempre inisip natin sobrang laki ni Jollibee. Pero again, in the 90s, nag-start siya na hindi naman malaki, diba? So, kung kaya ni Jollibee, kaya nyo rin. I guess the other brand that we now know, no, is Michael Cinco, the brand, no. So he also started as a small designer, no. He was if you're familiar with his work, no, he started off in Samar as, talagang probinsyano siya na hindi na gusto lang talagang mag-design ng products, 'di ba? And now obviously all the Lady Gagas, Rihanna's wear his clothes, no. But how did he pivot from just a small designer from the Philippines, diba? Paano siya nag-pivot? In 2003, parang I was reading his bio, he decided that, I wanted to stand out from the rest, and instead of doing yung mga normal na damit lang or mass market na damit, I will do haute couture. So parang talagang very detailed, very beaded, very elaborate yung mga designs. And then eventually nakilala siya to be able to also set that stage for the Philippines, no. Ang unang market niya naging Dubai, where obviously you have the rich people there, but also there were a lot of Filipinos in Dubai, which initially was his target market, right? So if you look at it, parang obviously these are big brands, but I also wanted to point out that they also started out as small, and they started out as small businesses or small designers. Just a few things that are also close to our heart. Well, at least for the company, for Zendies, no, is one of the few small businesses that we export a lot is for example clothes. No? So Etsuka is a brand in the Philippines. So what they do is they refurbish Japanese kimonos, and what they do is from there they get Philippine small yung mga mananahi sa Pilipinas to create these elaborate jackets from refurbished kimonos in Japan, no. So ano nangyayari is you give more jobs to the Filipino people, right? But also you're able to elevate these designs and these brands. So they started out, and they still are one big Instagram brand. They chose a channel which is Instagram, and they decided na parang to sell there, and so far in Instagram, where they target the US and Singapore markets, talaga nakabenta sila ng marami, no. So again, if you think na parang okay, hindi naman kami Jollibee, hindi naman kami Michael Cinco, one case study that we actually have, and we actually ship a lot of on a regular basis, are small business brands. And baka meron kayong patahian dyan, or they started out as small. They started out with 10,000 pesos. They started out with an Instagram page, and they marketed it well. And they started with authenticity, brand authenticity. The founders look like normal people, and they say, okay, I want to be able to wear nice clothes that are premium. And so they're able to do that, and they're able to ship a lot. Another brand that we work with is BTY Cosmetics. So they do whitening lotion naman, and they serve the overseas Filipino community abroad, no. So parang what they're known for is they are known for yung kung may mga varicose veins, natatanggal nila yung dun sa product nila, no. And because it was so good, they're able to really have a community and a following where talagang sobrang loyal ng overseas Filipinos sa kanila. What we started out initially with Facebook, and then eventually they got very big with TikTok, and now parang they have a community where if you want to be able to, like, ultimo sinusundo nila mga OFW sa airport, kasi nga parang they really have a following na talagang they really want to be true to the overseas Filipino community, no. So again, if this is a brand that you want to be able to serve, again, these are examples. These are real life examples of people that we have shipped, but are also doing very well and started off as a small business. So if this is something that you aspire to be, or kung gusto nyo maging ganito rin, then obviously it's not just me, but may mga speakers din tayo that will be talking about their experiences in exporting. And again, what we're saying is, posible siya. Hindi siya parang it's not just a dream. It's something that you really could achieve. Okay. So bago ang lahat, since we talked about, being able to sell abroad, ano ba talaga yung exporting, right? So exporting is basically the act of sending your goods or service from the Philippines to another country, right? So that's basically the definition. It could be, kunwari, may service ka, kunwari, graphic design, kunwari, and binabayaran ka ng person in dollars. Kunwari, yung BPO industry natin, exporting industry yun, diba? So parang, it's basically that, sending goods or services from this country to another country abroad. And basically, I'm sure marami kayong questions, parang, saan ba tayo magbebenta? Paano ba tayo magsa-start? Ano yung pwede nating ibenta, right? So hopefully these are questions we can answer during this small webinar. Okay, so when we talk about kanino ba tayo pwedeng magbenta, 'di ba? So there are a lot of ways to answer this question, right? So one is geographic location, diba? So parang obviously when we talk about international, anong country yung gusto nyong i-target, right? So kunwari kung gusto niyo ng pinakamaraming Filipinos, that is the United States. Pero kunwari, you have to understand na may tariffs ngayon, saan kayo next na pwedeng pumunta? Hong Kong, baka pwedeng Hong Kong, 'di ba? Kung gusto niyo naman ng mainstream market, it depends on the product also, 'di ba? So parang when we're talking about geographic location, yun, it's like what market do you want to serve? What country do you want to serve? Kasi iba-iba yung mga needs ng country na yon, 'di ba? When you talk about naman buyer, 'di ba? Parang sino yung pwedeng buyer nyo? So again, may mga terminology tayo kanina, business to business or business to consumer, right? Iba yung pagbenta sa e-commerce, right? Iba yung pagbenta sa TikTok, iba yung pagbenta sa Instagram, iba yung messaging doon, 'di ba? even on that channel, iba siya. But also, mas lalo na yung iba kapag nagbebenta ka sa business. Kunwari, nagbebenta ka ng tuyo at gusto mong ibenta siya sa supermarket, iba yung communication mo din to that channel, di ba? And then, of course, when we talk about kanino ka ba pwede magbenta, is your product pang mass market? Sobrang mura ba ng produkto mo na pwede siyang bilhin ng maramihan? Or is it to a target consumer? Like, kunwari, di ba, may mga high-end market tayo. Even a Filipino diaspora market in Europe is a very specific market compared to a Filipino diaspora market in the United States, who grew up differently. The culture is different, right? So these are things that you have to consider, no? So again, in terms of location, it's important to understand saan ba talaga nababagay yung produkto nyo. Obviously, kung gusto nyo mag-export, international na talaga yung pinag-uusapan natin. Pero I think ang importante dito is, saan ba talaga nababagay yung produkto nyo? So kunwari, ang balak nyo is high-end fashion goods. Hindi ka pwedeng magbenta ng high-end fashion goods sa market na kunwari yung overseas Filipino diaspora, hindi ganun kalaki yung kinikita. 'Di ba? Kung gusto mo magbenta ng high-end fashion products, kailangan maghanap ka ng kung saan mas malaki ang kita and mas willing magbayad yung consumer, right? So so again, all of this depends on the kind of product that you have, but also ano yung talagang hinahanap ng consumer mo. When we talk about buyers nga, in terms of consumers, parang iba din yung channels for TikTok, iba yung channels for Shopee, iba yung communication for Instagram, and iba yung communication for Facebook. Dapat malinaw yun sa inyo when you market to these consumers, diba? And for example, in every market, consumers message also differently. So it's not just the social aspect. You also talk about how do they message you. So for example, in Indonesia, when you want to sell here, you have to have a local WhatsApp number and somebody will have to answer in Bahasa, for example, right? If you want to sell to the Philippines, your messenger has to always be on. If you want to sell to the United States, right? Ideally, for you to be effective, you also have to have a local US number because a lot of them like to make calls. Right. So these are things that you have to consider, as already mentioned. And then again, in terms of scope of market, it's mass and targeted. Okay, so I guess the next thing you want to be able, where do you sell to, right? So again, this could be either online. And then if you want to talk about business to business, this could be private label or direct distribution to a supermarket or a different channel abroad. What do you sell? In what market and what do you sell to that market? I think again, as mentioned, it really depends on the needs of that market and what makes your product stand out, diba? So parang for example, if you're selling whitening soap, bakit bibilin yung whitening soap mo versus yung whitening soap na currently nasa market, right? So I'll give an example. Here in Indonesia, one of the Filipino brands that has made it here is Kojisan. Right? And ang selling point niya is, akala ng mga tao, Japanese brand siya. And nakakaputi talaga siya compared to the local markets. Diba? So to compare to the local whitening lotion of the Philippine markets. So if that is your value proposition, then then harp on that and you can sell and be successful in a market kahit medyo mahirap to sell in that market. Again, for example, in the United States, it's important to understand now, given the tariffs, you have what are the things that are still in demand even with tariffs, right? Semiconductors is still in demand because of an AI boom, and then obviously pharmaceuticals is still in demand because sobrang mahal ng pharmaceutical products sila. So yung mga natural products in the US is still good. In the European Union, where they don't have tropical fruits or tropical products, a lot of the products that they demand are agriculture products in Southeast Asia, right? And then in terms of the Middle East, because they are an oil-rich country, they don't have food. So if you're able to ship food and condiments specific to to the country and hindi talaga mahanap, then you will definitely be able to sell. As you know, I mean, global trade or going global naman is hindi naman siya ganun kadali, right? And as you know, parang if nababasa niyo yung news, magkakaroon tayo ng problems because of the tariffs, because generally Philippines were not that competitive in terms of production, 'di ba? Mas mahal ang kuryente natin dito, mas mahal ang labor paminsan, and mas mahal din yung logistics natin. So parang basically ano nangyayari is we lose sometimes to other countries like Vietnam or Indonesia that have better unit economics. But this does not mean that there is no opportunity, 'di ba? Parang yes, naiintindihan natin na parang maybe right now, obviously hindi man natin makokontrol ang presyo ng kuryente, pero there is still an opportunity. And what am I talking about, right? Now I've laid out some, obviously the Philippines, but also like Vietnam, which is one of the top exporting countries in Southeast Asia, and Indonesia. If you look at the current immigrants of Southeast Asia, tayo yung nangunguna. In fact, if we're not the third largest diaspora, we're like the fourth largest diaspora in the market. We're the third largest diaspora in the United States. We're the third largest diaspora in Australia. We're also the third largest diaspora in the Middle East, right? So if not the second largest diaspora in the Middle East, in some parts of the Middle East. So, ibig sabihin, maraming Filipinos that are still looking for Philippine products, right? However, it is important to know na hindi natin to na ma-maximize kasi nga, ang nangyayari is, mas mahal mas mahal yung nagiging products natin. So what are the opportunities, right? Obviously, there is a big diaspora, and these are the top exporting products. But specifically, I wanted to point out what are the top opportunities for MSMEs, right? So one is these are specialty food products that you won't normally find. These are high quality furniture and home decor, creative services, cosmetics, and niche electronics. Okay, the root cause that why people actually don't export is because of these three things. And we've done this based on a time and motion study because of compliance, sales, and logistics. No? So, nahirapan tayo to comply, to get the FDA, to get to a marketplace, and to find reliable logistics services. Just to tell you how to do it, diba? Obviously, it's important for you to be able to get your documentation in order. So your basic FDA and your local documentation to be compliant to the product, to the markets abroad. So for example, different yung labeling requirements sa United States, different yung labeling requirements sa Australia. And it's important to be able to understand how you will fulfill these products at the most affordable and fastest way possible, so that you can also compete compared to other players. Pwede namin kayong tulungan for if you need anything in terms of compliance or sales or even logistics. Just go to just email us at hello@Zendees, and we'll be happy to assist you with anything that you need for exports, right? What I'm trying to say is exporting does not actually have to be that hard. It just has to be, you just have to understand where you want to export, how you want to export, and ideally we should be able to help you with that. So yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Miss Mel. Some excellent groundwork there for our theme of the day, and some excellent basics for those of us who are curious and don't know where to start. Some really, really good points there. I think that about who do I sell to, where do I sell, and what do I sell even as a small business owner who's trying to reach the world in a bigger way and those markets that are abroad. And something interesting that I collected also is she has such a good point that there is that Filipino diaspora that you can always start to reach out to. And I think we're a little lucky in that sense because Filipinos are everywhere. You can go anywhere in the world and you'll find Pinoys guaranteed. So maybe that's an advantage as Filipinos. More from Miss Mel later, but if you already have some questions that are going on in your head regarding the things that she shared, please don't hesitate. There's that Q&A tab down below. We suggest that you send in your questions because may fireside chat tayo mamaya. So, we're gonna try and get to as many of those questions as we can. So if you have any thoughts or any questions for Miss Mel, she'll be back later for our fireside discussion. Again, we always say here on Breakthrough, bawal ang shy type. This is your chance to ask the experts. So send in those questions and make the most of our session. All right, moving on now to our next speaker. She is certainly somebody that you've heard of as living proof na kayang-kaya ng mga Pinoy to survive and thrive in the global stage. Itinayo niya ang Lux Beauty and Wellness Group, which is one of the fastest growing beauty, health, and lifestyle companies in the Philippines. Mula sa pagiging online seller, pinalago niya ang Lux into a multi-million peso enterprise na may strong local at international presence. At ngayon, she is dubbed as the pambansang boses ng online sellers. Let's give a digital welcome to Anna Magkawas.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Anna Magkawas, and thank you so much for that warm introduction. So, welcome to Glow Business, and today I will discuss the nuts and bolts of cross-border e-commerce. And actually very timing to, no? Kasi kakagaling lang namin from Malaysia last week. We attended the Go Trade Summit. So it's also a chance for us para mas maipakilala yung products natin sa ibang bansa. So today, magkikwento lang ako, more on kwentuhan lang. Syempre, I will relate some stories with Lux kung paano ba rin namin nasimulan yung ang pag-ship ng Lux Products International. So why go cross-border? So Filipino products are loved globally, which is alam naman natin yan, di ba? And Filipinos are very supportive. Ako, on my experience, when I start selling or introducing the products online, ang dami talaga mga OFWs na nagme-message or nagko-comment that they want to buy, they want to purchase. And ang isa kasing hindrance usually talaga kapag magpapadala tayo abroad is really the shipping cost, 'di ba? Kasi alam naman natin medyo costly talaga ang shipping fee pagpapadala abroad. Pero ang nakakatuwa is that they are willing to spend. OFWs are willing to spend just to support Filipino products. And makikita mo rin yan even if magpunta ka sa ibang bansa, ma-meet mo sila, or mag-post ka lang na pupunta ka sa lugar nila, magme-message na yan na sana magdala ka ng products, bibili kami. For those na naubusan na ng stocks na nag-order sila via courier. So, wag tayong matakot, no? Wag tayong matakot na i-introduce yung products natin globally because unang-una andyan ang mga Pinoy to support us. Sila yung unang-unang magsusuporta talaga sa atin. And they love supporting Filipino products as well because it's also their way, alam mo yun, para maibsan yung pagiging, yung pagka-homesick nila sa Pilipinas. But there are common misconceptions lang, no? Sometimes akala natin kapag we go global or kapag magpapadala or i-introduce natin yung products natin abroad is akala natin kailangan natin ng warehouse agad sa ibang bansa. Which is hindi po talaga siya necessary sa umpisa, especially if small business pa lang tayo. We can start nang nandito tayo sa Pilipinas. So later on, yan yung mga pag-uusapan natin. And akala din ng iba, kailangan mo ng malaking puhunan just to sell abroad. So ayan yung mga common misconceptions na akala natin. That is why yung iba napapanghinaan ng loob or maybe because naisip nila baka kailangan mo ng extra puhunan para maipakilala mo yung produkto abroad. But no, we can start small, we can start simple, and then later on, we will scale. So here, payments made simple. Siyempre, unang-una na dyan, di ba? Bago natin maipadala yung mga produkto natin sa clients natin, of course, kailangan yung payment muna is ma-address natin. Kasi one of the iba-iba din kasi yung mga payment gateways natin. So meron tayong mga, ayan, meron tayong mga need i-consider. So let's demystify the payment processes. Ito, i-share ko lang yung story nung nasa Malaysia kami, no? So itong payment made simple deck na to is para maging ready tayo. Kasi last week, nung nasa Malaysia kami for the Go Trade Summit, meron kaming booth doon. And then, may mga interested talaga to purchase. The problem is, syempre Malaysian sila, hindi kami ready. Hindi kami ready. May gusto nang bumili, pero hindi sila makapagbayad sa amin because wala kaming dala na payment method kung paano nila kami babayaran. Kasi akala namin cash to cash lang, but hindi namin naisip na they can pay pala using mga Alipay, ganyan, or bank transfer. Pero ayun yung isang naging struggle namin that time. So, walang way para babayaran kami online. So kung naghagilap pa kami ng Pinay na kilala namin na distributor na nasa Malaysia para hiramin namin yung Alipay niya para doon na lang mag-transfer muna si client. So here, we will talk about na dapat ready tayo with the payment gateways na gagamitin because syempre iba-iba yun. Iba yung pag nasa Pilipinas ka at iba kapag nasa ibang bansa ang client natin. So first payment is trust. Syempre unang-una, dahil malayo yung client natin, 'di ba? We need to make sure na yung website natin or yung payment gateways natin is trusted enough para pagkatiwalaan nila na magbayad sila. Kasi unang-una, it's online. And alam naman natin yan, maraming scammers online. Or usually the problem with payment also, yung iba nadadala sila because sometimes nagkakaroon ng mga hacking, phishing of especially if you use card payments, 'di ba? So let's make sure lang din na yung ating website, if we have our website, is that appealing na talagang trustworthy enough para magbayad yung client natin sa atin. So we have naman yung mga iba't ibang mga actual, meron tayong mga partners na pwede nating i-reach out. Of course, isa na dyan si Globe with their GCash payment, GCash Global. We have maraming mga iba't ibang mga payment partners na pwede nating gamitin doon sa kung paano makakapag-settle sa atin yung client natin. But of course, we need to manage yung mga fees and conversions kasi kailangan nating i-check din or i-consider na yung mga partners natin, they have to earn as well. So, hindi naman yan bibigay sa atin ng libre. So, may mga charges, may mga fees, and we need to manage it. Kailangan computed natin yan kasi baka mamaya ito pa yung ikalugi natin kapag hindi natin na-anticipate na may 3.5% palang kaltas doon sa payment ni client, which is tayo of course ang mag-shoulder. Tayong mga sellers or yung business natin ang mag-shoulder ng mga fees, and then the conversions kasi syempre it's international, so usually the standard is in US dollars. So next is that, SMEs can start with low-cost plug-and-play solution. So ngayon, no, very, maswerte yung mga business owners ngayon kasi ang dami ng mga ganitong tool na pwedeng gamitin ng mga negosyante na hindi mo na kailangan pa ng isang malaking IT team to work on with this kind of, system. So marami nang pwedeng mag-support sa atin. And of course, one of that is Globe Business, 'di ba? And syempre tayo ang gusto natin talaga yung produkto natin is makilala. Hindi lang dito sa Philippines but also abroad. Pero instead of saying na we want to go global because yung produkto natin is trending, why not say na now is the time because the world is ready for us. And we are ready for the world. So, yung mga dinidiscuss natin, also yung with Miss Mel kanina, no, ang laking tulong para sa ating lahat, para maging handa tayo, para kumbaga ma-lessen natin yung mga errors kasi kami napagdaanan na namin yan somehow. So pero syempre continuous learning pa rin tayo kasi nga 'di ba lahat nababago-bago. Especially yan with the tariffs, ang daming mga kailangang i-considers talaga. So continuous learning is a must, lalo na kapag gusto nating mag-expand or mag-scale up ng businesses natin. And of course, the shipping and logistics. So naniniwala ba kayo na ang lifeblood ng cross-border is logistics? Syempre, hindi naman makakarating yung produkto natin kung wala ang mga logistics na to, 'di ba? So, ito naman we need to consider lang also some of the key points like yung pagpili natin ng courier kasi merong mga third-party courier na pwede nating magamit or meron din naman tinatawag na mga fulfillment centers. Pero ano ba yung difference nila at ano ba yung dapat nating gamitin or saan ba tayo magsisimula bilang small business owners, 'di ba? So the courier services or the direct shipping from Philippines to kung saang abroad mo siya gustong ipadala. For example, ayan si Zendesk, LBC, DHL, JNT. So ang dami, FedEx. Kami sa Lux before, no? Kasi we started selling luxury items also. So paisa-isa lang naman yung mga pinapaship namin international. Ang ginagamit namin is LBC talaga. And then nakilala namin si DHL. Kasi with ano naman, with pag nabigyan ka ng corporate rate. So they will give you discounts also. They will give you better rates, especially kung regular yung pag-ship ninyo abroad or kung may volume na kayo kahit papano. So nane-negotiate yan with them. But ang maganda lang with these couriers, yun nga, low cost yung setup niya and easily pwede ka magpa-ship kasi unang-una, ang daming, for example, LBC, diba? Ang daming mga branches. Sa mall, pwede ka magpa-ship anywhere. So, madaming mga hub na pwede mong puntahan kung paisa-isa lang naman yung mga ipapaship natin. Also, no contracts, no minimum volume required, and then may full control tayo sa pag-handle ng mga packaging, especially the branding. Kung gusto natin talaga more on customer experience, ayan. And then, mas flexible din sila. Pero ang consequences naman ng mga ganito is that higher yung cost. So medyo mataas talaga yung shipping cost ng mga to. So sometimes kasi one of the nagiging problem, isa sa mga nagiging problem kung bakit hindi natutuloy yung shipment or yung pag-order ng client is because namamahalan sila sa shipping fee. Okay? And then, we have yung mga fulfillment centers naman. So, yung mga fulfillment centers naman, ito yung mga katulad ng mga Amazon, Shopee Global Warehouse, TikTok Fulfillment, yung mga third party na sila na ang bahala, parang pick and pack na kung tawagin. Pero with this naman, ito automated na bulk shipping siya. At yung isa sa mga consequences nito, medyo lesser yung control ninyo. At the same time, kailangan mo ng malaking stock inventory level. At also the rentals. Yung rentals mo doon sa kanilang space or yung storage fees na tinatawag natin. So, sa tip, ang mapapayo ko lang also for small business owners, if you're just starting cross-border, go with courier services muna. Yung sa mga maliliit muna kung hindi pa naman ganun kalaki yung shipment natin, we can start with this couriers muna. And then once na we find out yung mga winning product or meron na talaga tayong bulk orders, then pwede tayong makipag-usap sa mga fulfillment centers. And also the custom realities, ayan. So syempre kailangan alam natin yung mga laws when it comes to customs, no? So, kailangan lang naman nating alamin. Sabi nga, don't fear customs. Alamin lang natin ano yung mga rules nila. So, may mga papers tayong dapat i-ready especially if food, supplements, kailangan ready yung mga FDA certifications natin, yung mga backup papers natin. Kasi yan yung magiging supporting documents para payagan nila na i-ship natin yung mga produkto natin sa kanila. So, iyan yung isa, sometimes nandun ka na sa courier, tapos hinihingan ka ng mga supporting documents like FDA. So, kailangan i-ready mo na pagpunta mo pa lang para dire-diretso. So, practical hacks, eto naman, mahalaga din to. Kasi syempre, when you ship, volume ang binabayaran natin dyan. It's volumetric weight, ganyan. So, mas malaki yung package, mas mahal yung babayaran natin. Kailangan magaling yung tao natin na magkamada ng mga produkto na pinapack natin. Okay, and then let's move on to choosing the right platform. So, syempre ito, saan ba tayo? Saan ba tayo magpapakita? So, puntahan natin yung mga platforms kung nasan yung mga clients natin. And syempre, kailangan alamin din natin sino ba yung mga target clients natin, or Gen Z ba yan? O baka dapat more on nasa TikTok global tayo, or marami kasing mga platforms also, or maraming pwede nating pamilian like Amazon, Shopee, Lazada, 'di ba? So depende kung ano yung target market natin. So we can compare the global marketplaces versus our own website. Kami kasi we also have our own website. Ako sinasabi ko, yes, it's okay doon, it's okay na mag-put up tayo, or mag-set up tayo ng store sa mga global marketplaces, because it's unang-una, it's easy, may support sila. At the same time, you have agad millions of clients na pwedeng pumunta or makakita ng product mo, because automatic may traction yan sila, and they will also support you with their mga vouchers, ganyan. But then, syempre, with the rising cost of platform fees, ito yung unti-unting medyo pumapatay sa businesses as well. Kasi syempre, hindi natin masasabi na bigla-bigla magtataas ng fees. So yan yung mga dapat din nating i-consider. So if you're small business owners, so yes, go with these global marketplaces, but make sure also to create your own website para in case man, hindi tayo nakadepende lang. Magkaroon man ng mga changes sa mga platforms na to, meron pa rin tayong homepage, or meron pa rin tayong sarili natin na website na pwedeng puntahan ng mga suki natin. Okay? And then, let's go to... Ayan. So, syempre, mahalaga din yung mga insights and success strategies natin. So, kailangan na papag-aralan din natin yung kung saan at kung kailan tayo mag-expand or mag-i-scale. So cross-border isn't just for big corporations. Tandaan nyo yan. Kahit po maliit lang kayo. Nagsimula kami ng nasa bahay lang. Nagsimula kami na nagpo-post lang online. And now, nakikilala na yung produkto natin sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo. You will see our products sa mga Pinoy supermarkets also in UAE, Canada, US. So nakakatuwa. So kailangan lang na maging ready. Kailangan lang na makinig tayo and i-apply natin, and continuous learning lang talaga. So if you can sell one customer in Manila, then definitely you can sell one customer in Singapore, US, Australia, Canada, or kung saan mang lugar mo yan gustong makarating, because the system is just the same. So think global, start simple, and scale smart. So that's all, and thank you.
Maraming salamat, Miss Anna. Some great thoughts there as well. You know, I think in our first talk of the day, we talked about the who, the where, the what, and Miss Anna has given us the how. How can we proceed? And I think she was so encouraging at this point in showing us that you don't have to be so intimidated. Syempre, pag global thinking na tayo, kala na natin sobrang, oh, I'm too small for this, or oh, I can't do it yet. I need to have a big IT team, like she said. Hala, baka I need the same, equipment and manpower and resources as a giant corporation. But no, I love that she was able to shed some light on the fact that you're not too small to try it and to see if you can reach, especially our Filipino market that are scattered all over the world. So we're connecting the dots. From Miss Mel to Miss Anna, I think their talks are fitting into each other so nicely. And I'm sure our third and final speaker of the day is going to wrap up our theme of the day so nicely. Let's hear a little bit about her. Now, to close our speaker sessions, mayroon tayong makakasama na experienced leader pagdating sa sales at business operations. She is the Director of Sales for Omnichannel of Globe Business, kung saan higit isang dekada na siyang tumutulong sa mga MSMEs para mas mapaunlad ang kanilang negosyo. Other than her corporate role, isa rin siyang entrepreneur just like you guys na may sariling steak business, which means alam na alam niya talaga ang lahat ng struggle at breakthrough. ng isang business owner. Ngayong hapon, she will share how technology can help take your business to the global stage. Let's all welcome Ms. Heidi Glifonea.
Hi! Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat, especially to our inspiring MSMEs and business owners na nandito ngayong hapon. Again, I'm Heidi Icaro Glifonea, Head of Omni Sales Channel for Glow Business. And tulad ng nabanggit kanina, almost 2 decades in sales and more than a decade of working closely and helping businesses like you. And actually, whenever I talk to SME owners and discuss about business expansion and going global, I always hear one thing. Ang hirap mag-expand. Ang daming requirements, ang daming challenges. Pero most of the time, it's not about the product or the talent or even the strategy. It's about something simpler. Alam niyo ba kung ano yon? It's your connection, your connectivity. Because sa panahon ngayon, your connection is your lifeline to the world. It's what keeps your business running, your customers happy, and most especially, your team in sync, wherever they are. Sabi nga ni Ana kanina, saan mang lupalop ng mundo. So this afternoon, we'll talk about how connectivity can help you grow your business beyond borders and how the right technology can turn your small business into a global player. Okay. Why connectivity matters for global expansion? Bakit nga ba? Well, let me ask you, have you ever lost a customer just because the internet was slow? Or missed a meeting because of poor signal? Marami bang nakaka-relate? Because it happens, right? And when it does, it's not a small problem. It's actually a loss of opportunity na agad. In business, especially now that everything's online, connection equals reputation. That's why accessibility is key. Kasi going global, meaning being easily accessible to customers, to partners, and suppliers everywhere. And when your internet lags or messages don't go through, your clients don't just see it as a technical issue. They see it as a reliability issue. So, meaning poor connectivity leads to missed sales opportunities. Nagkakaroon na ng delay yung deliveries and nafo-frustrate na yung mga clients natin. So, think of it this way. Your product may be amazing, but if your business can communicate smoothly, your customers' experience suffers. When we talk about strong connectivity, it means faster responses, smoother coordination, better customer service, and ultimately, more customer trust. Kasi sa totoo lang, kahit gaano kaganda yung produkto mo, almost perfect. Pero kung hindi ka naman makontak, hindi ka ma-reach ng mga client mo, mahihirapan ka to win their trust. So that's why connectivity serve as your digital backbone. And right now, it's not just a technical need. It's actually a business essential. Okay? So, now, let's talk about naman broadband. Okay? Because every online business, mapamalaki man yan or maliit, very dependent sila sa connectivity. Broadband is your foundation to ensure smooth operations. Lahat ng ginagawa natin online, tulad ng nabanggit ni Ana and Mel kanina, dumadaan yan sa connectivity ninyo. Like what? Video calls with partners or clients abroad, managing your e-commerce platforms, cloud-based inventory, handling online payments, shipments, and even the day-to-day communication with your team. So, if your internet is slow or unreliable, as a business owner, you lose time na agad. And downtime is costly. Alam nating lahat yan. Kasi in global business, time is money. Tama? Okay, let me share a quick story lang. Recently lang, I think 2 months ago, I visited Pampanga. We had an immersion there and field work. Meron akong SME owner na nakausap. Who runs a small furniture in Pampanga. She started selling locally, then eventually expanded in Singapore and Dubai. Pero, nakwento nga niya, hindi naging madali nung nag-uumpisa siya. Kasi, ang daming problema. Like, video calls with international clients, paputol-putol, napapahiya siya talaga. And dumating pa sa point na they lost a potential deal because ang pangit ng connectivity niya. So, she decided to upgrade to a business-grade broadband plan. Ngayon, super happy na siya kasi excited nga siya sabihin sa akin na I have Globe Business Broadband na it's very stable, mabilis, and secure yung connectivity. And now, she already handles multiple overseas clients, even expanded her market through online trade fairs. So, that's the difference when you treat internet not as an expense, but rather an investment. Actually, broadband is not a luxury at all because it's the foundation that supports everything your business does online. Okay? So, one part ng connectivity is broadband. Now, let's talk about mobility naman. Your ability to stay connected even when you're on the move. Kasi for small business owners like you and like me, hindi natatapos yung trabaho when we leave the office. Sometimes you're out meeting suppliers, visiting partners, or even traveling abroad. That's why having a business mobile plan is a must. It means you can communicate professionally, anytime, anywhere, without worrying about losing a signal or searching for Wi-Fi. Kasi imagine this, baliktarin naman natin. You're at a trade show abroad and a client from home messages you about an urgent deal. And because you're connected, you can reply immediately. And just like that, you've closed another sale. That's the power of being connected wherever you are. And here's something many SMEs don't realize. Professional communication creates professional perception. When clients see you that your business number, your email, your system, all look organized and reliable, they see you as credible. And in global business, credibility open doors. Kasi ngayon halos lahat ng essential business tools natin like Zoom, Google Workspace, and iba pa, naka-cloud na yan. Pero kung hindi stable ang mobile connection nyo, maaapektuhan yung productivity ng mga tao nyo, ng operation nyo. Like, your meeting, maglalag. Yung file upload, hindi magtutuloy-tuloy. So, nawawala yung real-time collaboration. With a strong and stable mobile plan, your team can collaborate seamlessly, share large file with ease, and manage project efficiently kahit saan sila nagtatrabaho. And one more thing, ang business-grade mobile plan, hindi lang yan nagbibigay ng mas professional na look or image sa harap ng mga clients. Kundi nagbibigay din to ng advanced security feature para protektahan yung mga sensitive business and customer data, especially if you're going to be dealing with global clients. This is very important in building trust and ensuring operational continuity, lalo na sa panahon natin ngayon ng digital transformation. Okay. Now, how connectivity enables global operations? Let's take it a step further. Simple lang, 'di ba? How exactly does connectivity make your global operations possible? Connectivity makes your business move like a one global team. With the right broadband and mobile solutions, you can coordinate in real time with suppliers and distributors abroad. You can provide customer support across different time zones. And you can integrate tools like cloud storage, payment platforms, and logistics systems. This what allows your business to function seamlessly, even across continents. So we can see here that connectivity builds efficiency. No more waiting days of updates. No more late responses or, sorry, mahina yung signal ko, hindi maka-push through. Everything flows smoothly from your operations to your customer service, which is very important. Because with strong and right connectivity, your systems are connected, your people are connected, and most importantly, you as the business owner, you are connected. Okay? So, we talked about broadband, mobile, digital tools. Let me give some simple but powerful tips to strengthen your connectivity strategy as SMEs. First, invest in the right connectivity. If you're serious about growing your business, go for a business-grade broadband plan. It's built for reliability and security. Things that hindi mo parating makukuha if naka-personal plan ka. Kasi totally different talaga yung offering kapag business and pag individual user. Business plans provide essential value adds that help run your physical businesses and offices. Like in Glow Business, we offer free CCTV for security and Wi-Fi mesh system for better coverage across your office or stores. So this dedicated equipment and support offer far more stability than any of the consumer plan. So that's one. Second, choose a plan that grows with you. Huwag ka lang kumuha ng dahil sa kung ano lang yung need mo ngayon. Kasi definitely by tomorrow, a month from now, a year from now, your need will be different. So pick a provider and a plan that's scalable, meaning flexible to adjust as your business expands. 'Di ba? As you hire more staff, open a new e-commerce channel, or start traveling abroad, your connectivity needs to be able to instantly accommodate that growth. So look for flexible packages. Okay. Third, bundle your tools. Yes, I would suggest you combine your broadband, your mobile plan, and communication tools to maximize efficiency. Kasi come to think of it, if you're going to be managing 5 different providers for your internet, for your mobile, for your email, for your video, it's going to be complicated and costly at the same time. So look for integrated solutions that put everything on one bill with one point of contact. So it's going to be simpler more efficient, and more cost effective. Okay. Then, lastly, pero makikita mo sa screen, it's security first. Well, for most of the small businesses, hindi pa natin to fino-focus sa ngayon. We don't heavily focus on this one. Pero I would greatly suggest always put security first. When you transact globally, you handle sensitive data. And a good business grade connection should offer robust, built-in security to protect your network, your customers' data, and your peace of mind. So, to my small business owners here, always remember that when you invest in the right connection, you're not just paying for speed, you're investing in consistency, reliability, credibility, and security. Okay, so let's bring it all together. I think this is my last slide. Our key takeaway: your connection isn't just a Wi-Fi or data. It's your lifeline to the world. When you have a strong broadband and reliable mobile and digital tools, you're gonna build bridges to customers in other countries, collaborating with suppliers thousands of miles away, and creating opportunities that go beyond borders. And yun yung kagandahan ng world natin now. Technology has leveled up the playing field. You don't have to be big corporation to think big and compete big. Even small business like ours, with the right tools, right mindset, and right connection, you can dream bigger, move faster, and compete confidently on the global stage. So, as you continue your business journey, remember this. Let's end with this powerful thought. Stay connected, and the world will stay within your reach. So there, maraming salamat po. And again, congratulations to all the SMEs here, business owners. You are proof that passion, drive, and right connection can turn local dreams into global stories and success. And always remember that Globe Business is ready to partner with you anytime. Actually, on the screen, you'll see how Globe Business Team can help you with a free consultation. We are ready to build that foundational link and take your business into the world. Marami pong salamat.
Thank you so much, Miss Heidi, our final speaker of the day. Don't you worry, guys. We're going to hear from her a little bit more shortly, but great points there as well. I think that I predicted it correctly. It was a nice way to tie up very neatly our topics for the day, no? Especially her line that connectivity is your lifeline to the world. I think that was a really succinct point that we can rally around, that, you know, you're already reaching an international market. Sana naman matching na yung connectivity mo, because you, as she says, downtime can be very costly, and we don't want to lose out on our opportunities if our connectivity hasn't kept up with our growth. So, like I said, and like we always say, questions are highly, highly encouraged here. And it's almost time for our fireside chat. So, kung may mga questions pa kayo dyan, now is the time to send it in, because we're about to bring our speakers back on the screen. So again, all you have to do is press that Zoom Q&A button or use the Zoom chat, and we'll try to incorporate as many of your questions as possible. Okay. Now, again, like I said, it is time now for that wonderful fireside chat. We always get some amazing insights at this part of the program. So, let's welcome back our speakers, Mel, Anna, and Heidi. Hello, I love it. We're an all-girl panel today. Ladies, can we see and hear each other all right?
Yeah.
Hi.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to the three of you. Excellent talks there and excellent presentations. And I'm so excited to get into the questions that are coming our way to further, further feed the curiosity and further feed the growth of our attendees here today. So, if it's all right with you, ladies, I will begin with the first question here, which is for Miss Mel. Mel, this question says, what is one misconception you often hear about global expansion, and what is the truth behind it?
One common misconception, also as outlined by Miss Anna a while ago, was that is that it's hard to be able to export and to actually send products abroad. Now with e-commerce, and again, with what Miss Heidi said a while ago about connectivity, it is now the time where we are more connected in the world. No, so it's actually the easiest time to be able to ship your products abroad. If you have something, you can just do e-commerce, and you'll be able to export immediately to a customer, and that can go viral, and you can become big. So it's never been easier to ship. Just for context, when we started exporting, or I started exporting, that was going to a trade show and being able to find a buyer that can buy a full container. It's no longer that now, diba? Parang if you have e-commerce, if you're online, it's never been easier to be able to export and send your products abroad. And so that I think is the truth behind it.
Thanks, Mel. I think that's really been a big main topic of the day, wherein everybody's so intimidated about going global because and rightfully so. I mean, there are many, as you ladies also shared earlier, there are many compliance hurdles to jump to get started. But as the three of you have been able to share, it doesn't have to be as difficult or as out of reach as we might think, no? I have another question here for Miss Anna naman. Anna, this question says, what was the turning point that made you realize your business could grow internationally through e-commerce?
The turning point siguro nung nakita ko talagang maraming interested. Kami kasi we also started with the distributors dito sa Philippines. So may mga nag-i-inquire talaga na gusto rin nilang mag-distribute doon sa mga country kung nasan sila. And of course, they are Filipinos as well. So sila din yung unang naging katulong namin para mapakilala yung mga products ng Lux abroad. And then later on, na yung website mismo ng Lux is nagkaroon na rin siya ng gateway to international shipment kasi not all naman the territories are merong distributors. So at least with that, nare-reach din natin yung ibang countries na wala pang distributor talaga ng Lux products. So yung turning point talaga is really alam mo yung nakita mo na ang daming interested talaga to try at sila mismo yung lalapit talaga sa'yo.
Thanks, Anna. I think you had a really good point earlier nung sinabi mo, Filipinos love Filipino products. Napaka-loyal tayong customers, to be fair. I think it's such an advantage as Filipinos where, number one, you'll find them everywhere in the world. You can go to the furthest corner of the world and biglang, uy, Pinoy! You'll find them everywhere. And we are such loyal customers. As Filipinos ourselves, when we travel, when we go to other places, and we see, uy, may Jollibee. Even if you're here to enjoy another culture, just out of your loyalty as a Filipino, you want to support. And I think you were able to outline that earlier na napakalaki
There's a feeling
ng
na may feeling na proud tayo.
Yes, absolutely. Napakalaki ng natin, ng privilege natin as Filipinos, or it's an advantage, I would say, that we can reach Filipinos that are already all over the world. So, go Uy, Pinoy. That's our advantage. Heidi, I have a question for you. This one here says, Heidi, how does connectivity, whether through the internet, data, or digital platforms, empower local businesses to scale internationally?
Oh, okay. I think I was able to tackle that earlier, but balikan natin. As mentioned kanina, it's very important if you want to scale globally, your connectivity should be really reliable kasi it builds efficiency. Kasi 'di ba, you're gonna be dealing intercontinental. If
Mm-mm.
your connectivity is reliable, fast, secure, you can coordinate real time with all your suppliers, customers abroad. And most importantly, you can provide customer support and customer satisfaction. And not only that, because since we're going global, there's a lot of tools that we need to integrate, diba? Cloud, payment, logistics. So, kaya kailangan yung connectivity mo is really strong
Mm-mm.
there. Yeah.
Thanks, Heidi. And I think that that ties in nicely with what you said that hindi naman talaga luxury ang broadband, ang strong connectivity. It's not a luxury. It's not even an expense. Kasi investment talaga yun, no? That it will come back to you in terms of how well you're serving your customers. And sabi mo rin, downtime is costly.
Yeah. And
Also very
time.
true. Downtime is costly and so kailangan talaga upgrade, kailangan talaga mag-match na talaga kung global market na yung inaabutan mo, 'di ba? It should be that your resources are also on the same level of quality of accessibility. Very, very true. Thank you, ladies, for that first set of questions. I'm going to bring it back to you, Mel. This one here says, when competing on the world stage, how can Filipino brands stand out among global giants? Oo nga naman, those very recognizable brands. How can Filipino brands stand out?
I think one is really understanding that we have a market abroad. So, like, our experience as Filipinos is unique compared to the experience, say, of an American, right? And so, being able to harp on that unique experience and put that in your brand is something that Filipinos can resonate with. Again, Filipinos are very loyal, as mentioned by Miss Anna, to the existing products, lalo na if they know na it comes from the Philippines, kahit magkano pa yan, bibili nila. So that's one, being able to really relay that experience. You know, for example, if your brand has a story, a backstory na kunwari you're helping a community, be able to make sure that you're able to show that brand to your customers abroad. So I think that's number one. Number two is we really are good marketers. I think compared to the rest of the world, what I can say is marunong tayong mag-market, marunong tayong kumausap sa customers natin, 'di ba? So if that means that and sometimes that is the major difference in terms of someone buying your product from not buying your product. If you're able to talk to them in a way na, uy, sis, 'di ba? Kunwari 'di ba kapag sumasagot na tayo ng mga questions sa e-commerce, ang sagot na natin hindi na parang formal, 'di ba? Ang sagot na natin sis
Sis
or
na.
ate, ganoon, 'di ba? Or 'di ba? So being able to communicate with your customers very well is also another way to really stand out in terms of brand recognition. And I think Filipinos, magaling rin tayong mag-pun ng mga trends, 'di ba? So kunwari nakikita nyo yung ibang mga brands that kunwari may mga social issues sa Pilipinas, talagang they harp on those things, or kunwari may mga nangyari na trending sa TikTok or sa Instagram, talagang they kaya nilang makisabay, no? So I think kung kaya nating to bank on those things as Filipinos, we're able to really stand out. Kahit medyo mas may konting kamahalan yung produkto, or currently mas mahal yung current shipping natin compared to the rest of the world. I think those are things that we can really work on para mas mag-stand out tayo as a Filipino brand.
Mm-mm. Thanks, Miss Mel. That's a good point. I think Filipinos, napaka-service oriented talaga ng Filipinos. You know, not just in terms of offering a service, but even let's say if you're a retailer, iba yung vibe, 'di ba? When you're speaking with a Filipino, parang may lambing, may talagang charisma ang mga Filipinos when it comes to communicating and even marketing, as you say, kahit walang malaking marketing budget, meron pa ring genius na mga reels, mga posts, kayang-kaya. And it's really an advantage, I think, that is baked into us culturally as Filipinos. And it's it's an excellent point to bring up that we shouldn't think of it as a small thing. We might get used to it kasi oh, that's just something that we do. No, that is an advantage, and it's something that is naturally baked into us culturally. Which brings me to my next question for Miss Anna. And okay, this one is about maybe hesitations about expanding. So this question, Miss Anna says, what are the key factors to consider before expanding your e-commerce business abroad? Key factors to consider.
Key factors to consider, siguro kasi yung mga, basically yung mga nasabi ko kanina. Okay. Siguro let's check our products. Una-una, syempre, double check natin yung product. Kaya ba niyang mag-compete internationally? Like, is the product really worth it na bibilhin ng, or ipapaship? Kasi mahal lang shipment eh. Sa totoo lang, yung shipping fee ang parang pinaka magastos sa lahat. The product is mura lang, pero yung cost to ship the good is sobrang mahal talaga. Sometimes yun yung nagiging struggle, or yun yung pumipigil doon sa ibang buyer para bumili. Pero kung talagang super gustong-gusto talaga nila yan, kahit gaano pa kamahal yan, bibilin talaga nila yan. Pero syempre, tayo naman, let's make sure also that our products talaga ay pag nakita naman nila, ay matutuwa naman din talaga sila. So let's check our packaging, let's check the quality ng produkto natin. Sa tingin ba natin kaya niyang mag-compete with other products abroad, na tipong kahit marami namang produkto sa ibang bansa na magaganda, pero pinipili pa rin ng kapwa Pinoy natin na suportahan at bilhin yung produkto natin. So, siguro yun yung isang pinaka-ma-advise ko. We can start with a few SKUs. Hindi naman kailangan na lahat ng SKUs ay ibenta mo kaagad lahat abroad. Especially, syempre, we need to make sure that the papers are complete also, the documentation, kasi ayan din, mahalaga din yan. So, kailangan we have complete papers to back up yung mga pinapaship natin abroad para eventually wala ring problema sa customs, kung hinanapan tayo ng paper, so lahat meron tayong papel to back it up.
Right. So, talagang kailangan gawing worth it ang extra na the shipping, the logistics. So, very good point. Dapat matutuwa pa rin si customer after going
Yes.
through the extra spend or the extra wait time, 'di ba? If we're shipping abroad. Good point there, Miss Anna. Now, I'll bring this one to Heidi. On a similar thought, syempre, I mean, to put it bluntly, hassle naman talaga magpa-ship ng product if you're the customer, no? So, with this in mind, Miss Heidi, what are the most common tech-related challenges that SMEs face when going global?
Sa madalas na ikot ko, kasi I've been dealing with SMEs sa pagbisita ko sa mga Globe stores, fieldwork, and pagsagot sa hotline ng Globe Business. Most of the tech-related problem and concern nila, umpisahan na natin sa connectivity. So, andyan yung unstable connection, di ba? Putol-putol. Actually, sabi nga nila, sometimes it's not the lack of effort eh. Nagbibiro pa sila minsan, it's lack of the signal daw. Diba? So that's one, connectivity. Then, second is payment barriers. Kasi pag small business, natatakot sila, parang they are struggling on receiving payments overseas. Diba? Andun yung fear na papasok kaya yung bayad? Papasok ba talaga, matatanggap ba talaga namin yung bayad coming from our clients abroad? Diba? Third is, like what I mentioned din kanina, cybersecurity risk. Kasi uso ngayon yung, di ba, scammers, mga fake emails, mga phishing. So, andun yung fear nila. Kasi nga, kapag small business ka, parang hindi ka pa kasi fully ready in terms of the security. Okay? And then, siguro lastly is the digital skills gap. Kasi kinikwento ng mga SME sa akin na parang kailangan kong matutunan yung mga marketing, analytics. So, it requires training. 'Diba? And it will take some time for a business owners na talagang maging digital literate.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so siguro ito lang yung mapapayo ko sa mga SMEs na katulad ko na medyo hesitant on technology. Don't be afraid to learn, adapt, and grow. Step by step, baby step, ika nga. Kasi you can actually start with what you have muna. And then use what you can. And build slowly with confidence as you go. Kasi ang importante naman sa atin sa negosyo is you stay connected, you prepared, and then soon become digitally smart. So there. Yeah.
Thanks, Miss Heidi. And I think that connects well to yung shinare kanina ni Anna na start small and don't worry about, I'm not a big enough business to do this. I think connected lahat ng mga presentations niyo talaga na you don't have to do everything suddenly all at once. I'll buy everything. I'll sign up for everything. I'll buy a full shipping container. It doesn't have to be that way anymore. And it's so encouraging, I think, especially because there's also no shame in seeking help, in finding a partner. Like with Globe Business, there's no shame in seeking a partner who will kind of clear the way for you, diba? So excellent points there, ladies. I'm gonna bring up another question here from the audience for you, Miss Mel. Okay, let's get a little more technical here. This one says, how do we check the documents or certifications needed for exporting? For example, food, skincare related products or house cleaning products. O nga naman, baka may mga regulations din yan. Miss Mel, your thoughts on this one?
Okay, so for food, I think it's important for food and cosmetics. No? Anything before you export, your local Philippine regulations have to be complied with first. Hindi kayo maka-export kung wala kayong local Philippine FDA, kung wala rin kayong local, yung mga business permit documents. Kasi hindi nyo makukuha yung FDA kung wala kayong local business permit documents. So get that in order first. Kasi nga, bago kayo makaship, hinihingi talaga yun din ng courier service nyo. Kasi kung hindi, you need to process that. No? So that's number one. Yung second is per market. So again, it's important to understand the country you really want to zero in on. No? So kunwari, per market, iba-iba din yung rules ng regulations for food and cosmetics. No? So for example, for food, kung gusto niyo mag-ship sa US, kailangan niyo ng US FDA. Kunwari, gusto niyo mag-ship ng cosmetics, different din yung labels that are required for shipping cosmetics sa United States, and different din yung regulations when you ship, say, cosmetics to Singapore. So I think that question is a little broad kasi I can't give a direct answer right now. But if you have questions, you can also message our Facebook page for very specific technical questions. But I think it's important to understand first, bago nyo maintindihan kung ano yung regulations na important, and intindihin nyo muna kung ano yung market na gusto nyong pasukin. Kasi, kunwari, iba yung regulation sa Hong Kong, iba yung regulation sa US, iba yung regulation sa Australia. And, syempre, may investment din yon kung gusto nyong pumasok sa certain market na yon. But, dapat, as a business owner, clear yung conviction nyo saang market nyo gustong unang pumasok. And with that, we can also help you get those documentation for that specific market. So we've helped business owners get the FDA regulation, FDA for the US. We've also helped them get the Singapore version of the FDA, which is the SFA. And kaya namin kayong tulungan if ever very sure na kayo dun sa market na gusto niyong pasukin.
Thanks, Mel. I think you were able to, even though it's quite a broad topic, you're able to kind of compress it nicely that syempre, as business owners, we have to do our homework about everything that you shared earlier, because I think the three of you have managed to share the what, the who, the where, the why, the how. So I think this is kind of very much on track with that, no? Na okay, once you've identified the who, what, where, the how, I guess part of the how is making sure that, am I compliant with the place I'm selling? Am I, acquiring the correct set of paperwork for my specific product? And same thing that we've been discussing also with Ms. Heidi, that there are resources and there are services available that can make sure that you don't miss anything on those very specific checklists. No, and speaking of which, let's continue on this very more technical side of the questions. This one's for Miss Anna. This one here says, Miss Anna, how do you compute your pricing now that the platform costs are getting higher? Do you use a specific formula or multiplier after adding up all the costs, like cost of goods sold, packaging, and shipping for each product or parcel? How do you compute your pricing given these things?
Okay, it's a very good question, no? Kasi talagang recently, yan talaga yung isa sa mga struggle, especially ng mga online sellers na nagbebenta sa mga platforms because of the continuously na pagtaas ng mga platform fees. So hindi lang din naman yun. Syempre may mga other factors also like yung pagtaas ng mga raw materials. Pero kami, may sinusunod kaming, kumbaga meron kaming somehow na formula na sinusunod sa pagpa-pricing. Para naman kahit papano may natitira pa rin sa atin. Kasi common na nangyayari or bakit ba nalulugi ang isang kumpanya or bakit ito nagsasara is because hindi pala or mali pala yung price na nasa set nila. Sometimes kasi sa kagustuhan nating makabenta ng marami, binabagsak natin or binababa natin yung presyo ng produkto natin, which is hindi siya talaga sustainable. So you really need to compute. Syempre, ayan, you need to check magkano ba yung cost of goods natin. Alamin natin yung landed cost. Ano ba yung landed cost? So dyan pumapasok na hindi lang siya dun sa cost nung produkto or yung puhunan ng certain product, pero kasama din dyan yung cost kung paano or magkano yung halaga kapag nasa sa atin na siya or nasa sa warehouse na natin siya. Like for example, if kumukuha kayo ng products abroad, so kailangan computed din magkano yung shipping fee from there going to here, going to your warehouse. So i-add nyo siya dun sa cost of goods. So kami, yun yung ginagawa namin. Plus, nag-aalat kami ng certain percentage for the other expenses like the marketing or the syempre yung sa staff natin, sa packaging. Ang maganda lang din naman kasi syempre with the shipment cost naman going to our client, it is being shouldered naman na by our client, especially kapag ipapadala mo siya abroad. It's really the buyer who shoulders the shipping fee kasi hindi talaga natin kakayanin na tayo ang mag-shoulder ng shipping cost. Hindi na magiging competitive yung price natin. So ginagawa namin at least set a multiplier 3 to 3.5 from your landed cost.
3 to 3.5. Ang dami din kasing overhead, I suppose, no? Mga hidden costs for being able to not just produce your products, but getting it overseas, no? So, good things to take note of. And syempre, ayaw naman natin na malugi yung mga sellers natin. So, important numbers to take note of, everyone. Thank you, Miss Anna. Ladies, time really flies when we're having these really insightful discussions, but we are out of time for our fireside chat. But Mel, Heidi, Anna, thank you so much for everything you've shared with us today and for answering the questions from our audience. We appreciate the three of you so, so much. Thank you for being with us. All right. Maraming salamat, everyone, for sharing your insights. Like we said, that wraps up our fireside chat. What an insightful discussion. I hope that we were all able to learn something and take something home with us that we can apply. Maraming salamat again to our speakers for your time, your wisdom, and your real-life experiences. And of course, maraming salamat sa inyong lahat din for your active participation and your thoughtful questions. Thank you for being a part of this discussion. We hope these conversations give you the fresh ideas and the confidence to take these into your journey. Remember, ang Breakthrough Masterclass Small Biz Edition ay isang 6-part series. Part 4 pa lang tayo. So, in the weeks ahead, we'll continue bringing you more practical topics that are designed to help you grow adapt, and future-proof your business in this very fast-changing world. This has been Carla Barreto for Globe Business Breakthrough Masterclass webinar series, Small Biz Edition. We'll see you in the next episode. And until then, keep believing in your business, keep nurturing your customers and your employees, and keep building that future that you dream of. Because every small step you take is a step closer to your own breakthrough. Have a wonderful day, everyone. We'll see you next time.